We are living in a very pivotal time in history where technology is not only, limited to the traditional idea of what tech used to look like, but is actually penetrating in every sphere of life, is transforming economies, is transforming governance, is transforming citizenship overall. And Pakistan, with a 230 million strong population and a 150 million strong youth population, we feel that our young people are one of our biggest assets that can help drive Pakistan on this path and take us towards a journey where Pakistan's digital transformation really manifests in its truest form. As the government of Pakistan, I would like to say that we have a two-pronged vision when we talk about information technology. The first is digitizing Pakistan in three verticals, which is governance, which is economy, and society overall. And in order to be able to do that, we will be actually inviting the private sector. We will be inviting experts from Pakistan, Pakistanis across the world, and also international experts to come and assist us and be a part of this journey. We will be starting with the digitization process of the economy in the first phase. The idea is to create data exchange layers and eventually move towards integrating every segment of an individual's life into the digital sphere so that we can ensure ease of living, essentially, but also ease of doing business, also transparency, streamlined governance, financial inclusion, integrated growth, sustainable growth. So all of this comes with the digitization process that we will be embarking on. The second part of our vision is, and this trickles down directly from the Prime Minister's vision of how he wants to see Pakistan's economy and Pakistan develop, is to ensure that the government acts not as an operator, but as an enabler for the private sector. And I believe that in the past, the government has taken over most of the space, whether it's credit, whether it's large-scale contracts, whether it's private business. But the vision now is to allow the private sector to take the lead, to come in the front, and the government to act as a facilitator, whether it is policy, legislation, whether it is G2B contracts, facilitating international investment between businesses, whether it's B2B, G2B. But the idea is to really support, and especially in this particular sector, support the private sector and likes of Asif and Jazz, Ali, and everyone who's sitting here and who really genuinely contribute to the economy of the country. And it is our belief that it is really helping give them a push that will actually manifest into the digital transformation and the reality. When everyone keeps saying that Pakistan has a $30 billion IT potential, the key to unlocking that potential essentially lies with the private sector and with the government supporting the private sector. So that remains our firm belief. I have personally, in my personal capacity, built up a couple of advisories for myself, which actually also include Asif and other private sector intellectuals. We're going to have a governance advisory, again, coming from private sector. We're going to have a Pakistani expat advisory for all the Pakistanis who are working in the tech sector across the world to help us, to guide us, and to assist us in creating linkages for our businesses, in sharing their best practices, and guiding us as to how to move forward. So these are some of the things that I could highlight from the government's perspective. We're trying to create an enabling environment, whether it's remote working, whether it's freelancing for our youth population. We proudly boast fourth largest freelancing population, but we also are cognizant of the fact that we need massive upskilling efforts. We need massive soft skilling efforts that we need to, that will actually really help us unlock the potential of the freelancers and the remote workers as well. The second tier, obviously, is to support the corporates and how to create enabling environment for them to be able to thrive. We understand and we're cognizant, again, of the challenges that the private sector has been facing in terms of international investment, in terms of even investing abroad when you want to grow for the purpose of acquisitions or investments. So we're aware of the challenges. We're trying to be in a constant dialogue with the companies who are working. And the idea is to basically, and at the cost of repetition, to facilitate in any way that we can. In the end, I would just like to say that it is truly the collaborations that work. Neither the government nor the private sector can work in isolation to achieve these goals. It is these collaborations that will eventually help us move towards achieving our goals. And I think we have a shared ambition and a shared goal of creating a sustainable digital future for all of us, which can help make us into a society that facilitates the average citizen. So whether it's health tech, whether it's ed tech, whether it's gov tech, any sphere that we talk about, it is eventually, even the traditional manufacturing has now automated to a level that it is not possible to grow and develop without a significant portion of technological advancement and automation. So any area that we talk about, there is a certain degree of digital involved with it. And I would like to here say that the transformation is happening so fast. The technological landscape is developing and changing so fast that this is one of our largest challenges right now. So the time that it takes for a young person to enter into college and exit the college, the whole technological landscape has changed in that time period. So it's very difficult for the education curriculums to be up to date, for the teaching staff to be up to date. So these are real challenges that we face. Can we really update our trainers at that pace? Can we really change our curriculums? Can we change our education structures at that pace? This is the kind of challenge the government faces, and that in turn, ends up in a supply side problem. So we have a few initiatives. For instance, we were trying out industry academia bridge, where we're giving space to private sector again to go into these colleges where we're having these ICT graduates. Again, we boast about the recent number that I've heard from the Education Ministry, 75,000 IT graduates per year. But the challenge, again, remains of employability. So we're trying to build this skill gap with boot camps, and we've requested, and using this platform, I would also request everyone gathered around, if your industry, if your companies are interested in hiring fresh graduates. And so what we do is that we give you a platform to enter into these universities in the 6th, 7th, or 8th semester and give boot camps according to your requirements, and then pick up the best of the lot and help them getting employed. So this is just one of the many programs that we're trying to institutionalize. We're also working, and this is also my passion and also Prime Minister's passion, actually, which is skills development. And I was, when I entered Parliament, and this is back in 2013, and I was right out of college and kind of clueless. So I went to Babar Ali Saab, Syed Babar Ali Saab, and I said, I've taken on this responsibility, and, what is the one advice that you would, that I can take from you? And I still remember about 11 years back, he said that if there's one way you can really revolutionize the country and change its fate, is to institutionalize skills development. And skills development on the lines where, every child who goes through school has a different aptitude and a different potential. And when we try to, make them grind through the same process, we talk about equality, but we forget about equity. So what happens is that more than often, a lot, we complain about our young children, especially coming from low socioeconomic backgrounds, not passing matriculation, not passing even basic school, dropping out. There are a lot of structural problems, but one of the problems also is that we don't realize what their true potential is. The second is the stigma that has been attached to skills as opposed to traditional education. So the idea was to, again, and now that we're in the government, once again, we will try to push for a reform where everyone going through the schooling process by grade 8th or 9th should have that option to opt for skills training. And that really requires a transformation on the skilling side as well, because we need to, it's a long debate on a different tangent, but we need to improve that side. But not to undermine the importance of degrees, but today nobody asks for a degree, right? You want to apply for Googles or the Facebooks of this world, there is no degree requirement. There's a skill requirement. And if you have that skill, you're good to go. So are we really working on changing our education patterns for this? Are we making our young people ready for this digital transformation is a question that we all need to ask ourselves. And I would also, when in your utilization of social medias and the media, asking the right question from the government is also very important, because that is what we respond to. So there's a multiple, we have to make these changes on multiple levels, and we're already about a decade too late. But we hope that embarking on this journey now, we will have all of your support. And it is, I repeat, only through collaborations that we can move forward, especially in this affair, and collaborations on all levels. And with this, I would like to thank you all, and we're always open to your input. Our ministry is always there. The office is always available. You have our emails, you have our social media accounts. So any and all input is most welcome. We're right now in the process, in a very fast process, of legislating a few things, including data protection, cybersecurity, and other such policies that will be, guiding the overall sector. So any input in that regard is also most welcome, and I'll be looking forward to hearing from you, and also being in constant and frequent contact, hopefully. Thank you very much.